Hey everybody, it's Thursday night. Welcome to LonsTV. Lots that I want to talk about today, but I'm also just, I'm in love with LA at this time of year when everybody whose family is not here leaves. It's not that I don't love all of you people, and I'm not originally from LA either, so I'm not one of these like, I'm a native, me. Like, it's great when the city sort of thins out like this. Like, it happens some days where everybody's in town, but people don't go to work as normal, like Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is awesome. Not if you're Jewish. If you're celebrating Yom Kippur, it sucks. You're hungry. You're standing around bowing all day. It's no good. But if you're, not observant, it's awesome because the streets are empty and you can go anywhere you want. It's not just clogged with traffic. But days like today are even better because everybody's just not in town. You can go anywhere you want, any store. There's ample parking everywhere. Any bar, any restaurant, everything is just open. There's just no crowds anywhere. Everybody's gone. If LA was like this all the time, it would be the greatest place on the planet. I would never leave. But it's not, and I'd miss everybody who is gone if you weren't here. I think. I mean, being able to just go sit down at Umami Burger whenever I want and have whatever I want is good too. But I'm pretty sure I would miss some of you people. Anyway, the main topic I wanted to talk about today is Sherlock Holmes movies. I've been watching a whole bunch of them. A bunch of the old Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes films from the late 30s and the 40s are public domain, and those are on Netflix streaming. There's 4 of those. I've watched 3 of them so far, and I've also watched the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes film. I just rewatched it, and I hadn't seen it since last year when it first came out. So I'm going to talk about all of those. There's a bunch of Sherlock Holmes movies, actually, that I still want to see that I haven't seen recently, so I should rewatch, or I haven't seen it all. I really want to see 7% Solution, which is Nicholas Meyer's 70s Sherlock Holmes film where Sherlock Holmes is being treated by Sigmund Freud, played by Alan Arkin, and Robert Duvall plays Watson in that one. I mean, that one just sounds amazing. I don't know if that's ever been on DVD or if it's just out of print. When I used to work at Laser Blazer, the DVD store, we did not have a DVD copy. There was a Laserdisc copy, and even though I had access to a Laserdisc player back then, I foolishly never got around to watching that movie. So I'd really like to see that still. It's not available on Netflix. Like, you can't even rent it from Netflix. I'm going to have to hunt that one down. And also, I'd like to watch the old Hound of the Baskervilles with Peter Cushing in it. Again, I haven't seen that in years. So anyway, the ones I have seen. First, Guy Ritchie. I reviewed this on my blog. I really like the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes. After watching it again, it only confirmed what I remembered, which is, it's a little messy at parts. Like, the Rachel McAdams character doesn't really fit in neatly with the rest of the story, and she kind of ends up feeling like an afterthought. But the way, like, the supernatural element is handled feels really right for the character. Like, the world feels really right for the character. I thought the fusing of Guy Ritchie style and Conan Doyle style would just not match up at all. And they actually go together really well. It feels both like an authentic Sherlock Holmes movie and like a Guy Ritchie movie, which can't have been easy to do. And I love just the look and the way that effects have been used to, like, create a really engaging vision of London at this time rather than just explosions. I mean, there's big action set pieces and they're done pretty well, but it's also just been used to, like, give this place the appearance of, like, more depth and make London, like, really creepy and sprawling. And I love how that one does. And the give and take between Downey and Jude Law as Holmes and Watson is really good too. And also, last thing I'll say about the Guy Ritchie one, I usually find when movies are, like, teasing out and setting up a sequel that it's cheesy. And this movie is totally doing that. Like, the whole third act is really just a teaser for part 2, which I think they're making now, or they may have filmed it already. But this one, it's really done well, and it really does work, and it hooks you in, and it makes you really want to see a second one. So, yeah, if you haven't seen that one, go rent it or something. It's on, Blu-ray and everything. It was only 2009. The Basil Rathbone ones, they actually have the 4th Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes film that ever was made. It's called Sherlock Holmes and the Secret Weapon. I have not seen it yet. I haven't, for some reason, that's the one that I decided not to watch yet. So I'll watch it and review it on a later episode. But there are 3 that I have watched that are all public domain and on Netflix. None of them are, like, top tier ones, but one of them is pretty notable. The Woman in Green. I really like this one. Moriarty is the villain in it, so those are always fun when Moriarty's the bad guy. And it has a plot line that is now familiar. I don't know how familiar this was to an early 40s audience, but now the idea of, like, a brainwashed or hypnotized killer is very, it's been used over and over again. Like in the 70s and 80s, I feel like there are tons of movies, like Manchurian Candidate style, where somebody's brainwashed and then they're an assassin. So this is an early visit to that idea, and it's really fun. The hypnotism scenes are really well done. There are some downsides. The finale is kind of flat. All of these Basil Rathbone movies have a problem with like how to end, like how to actually like, and that's the end of our show. Like they all find themselves in that, like when the mystery is solved, they're bad at like wrap up banter. So there's always this awkward pause, like, well, I don't know how you did it, oh boy. It's elementary, Watson. It was elementary. And then credits, like they're almost like they're waiting for the audience to end the movie for them or something. So this one really has that problem, and Moriarty sort of always like would die at the end of the movie and then kind of just come back for a later movie. And this one is really like egregious, how he just like, well, I'm gonna run away, and then it's just like, oh, he's gone. Well, that's it. They're just really awkward. My last problem with Woman in Green is Nigel Bruce, who plays Watson in all the Basil Rathbone Holmes movies, plays him like a doddering kind of doofus, and Watson in the books and in most other adaptations is very capable. Like the Jude Law version of him he's kind of right there with Holmes. Like he's clever and he's fit and he's like a good doctor. And in the Basil Rathbone ones, they made this decision to make him like comic relief. Like he's basically this old fool. He's particularly foolish in Woman in Green. Like there are times when you're thinking like it's weird Holmes would even keep this kind of moron around. Like it's a little sitcom-y, like he's got this crotchety old man traveling around with him for no good reason. The next one that I watched was pretty weak, I have to say. It's called Terror by Night. Holmes and Watson are on a train with Lady Margaret. They've been hired to protect her diamond, the Star of Rhodesia, which, of course, is immediately then stolen by someone on the train, and then they have to track it down, blah, blah, blah. It's really predictable. It's kind of silly. That sort of train thief whodunit has been done a million times, that Agatha Christie-style thing. They don't have a new twist on it, and limiting the locations and the number of characters really, like, hurts their ability to make it a build the mystery. It's just kind of flat the whole way through. And then the last one I want to talk about is called Dressed to Kill. This one was actually the very last Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes movie that they made. I think they made 14 total, and this was the last one. And it's really good. The mystery itself in this one is really cool. There's this gang of criminals, and they're trying to get their hands on these 3 music boxes, and Holmes and Watson have to figure out like what about the music box is special that makes them want to get them. Like there's nothing inside it, and then so they have to like get them and then get all 3 and sort of beat the thieves at getting the music boxes and then cracking whatever the secret is of the music boxes. And it's one of those movies where it's just like the plot is just good enough that you're just kind of compelled to follow it because you want to find out what's happening. And the solution is actually like it's both you could believe criminals would come up with something like this and clever enough that I couldn't figure out what it was until Sherlock Holmes sort of like gets it, and then you follow it along. So it's clever without seeming like it would be impossible to come up with. So the dog is starting to bark, cough. I don't know what that is. So I'm going to go, but thanks everybody for joining me on today's LonsTV, and I will see you tomorrow.